I want you to stop and think about how much we use electricity in our everyday lives, from water to ATMs, gas pumps, medical equipment, and the list really goes on and on. But now think about our nation's power grid that supplies that electricity and it being damaged or disabled for weeks, months, even up to a year. It's a very real possibility, and experts say it can happen in several different ways, but they also say there's something we can do about it.
We risk everything.
Frank Gaffney heads the Center for Security Policy in Washington, D.C. He's on the front lines of sounding the alarm about the vulnerability of the nation's electric grid.
Our electric infrastructure is very susceptible.
One of those dangers is what's known as an EMP, or electromagnetic pulse, which can happen if an adversary detonates a nuclear weapon in space, causing a burst of radiation that won't hurt people but would fry our electric grid. The same thing could happen naturally in the event of a solar storm. Then there's another naturally occurring process deep within the Earth that could result in what's known as a magnetic pole reversal. Dr. Hugh Ross talked about it on a recent edition of the 700 Club.
The biggest consequence is the damage it could do to our electric power grids.
What can we do? Gaffney says there are several effective steps the military took to protect sensitive assets some 30 years ago after discovering these vulnerabilities.
What are called surge protectors. Sort of think of what you hopefully have your computer plugged into, only bigger. Shunts, which essentially move electric current around what you're trying to protect. And Faraday cages. And it turns out that, while we may not know it, almost all of us now have a Faraday cage in our homes. It's called a microwave oven.
These protective measures would cost billions of dollars, and at least one organization questions the need. The Electric Power Research Institute, or EPRI, is an independent nonprofit. In a recent report, it said while protecting the grid would be helpful, even without it, quote, possible damage to large power transformers was found to be minimal. Gaffney is critical of the report, saying EPRI is closely aligned with the electric utilities. He says their findings clash sharply with those of a federal commission that studied the problem.
And its chairman estimated that if the lights were to go out and stay out for a year or more, 9 out of 10 of us would die.
Gaffney warns those stakes are too high to take chances.
Even if no enemy used either what's called EMP or sabotage or cyber attacks to take down our grid with catastrophic consequences for our country and our people, Mother Nature is going to do it.
There's an ongoing debate about who would pay for an upgrade to the electric grid, whether it would be the government or electric utilities or some combination of big business and public dollars. I should also mention that I did reach out to EPRI for an interview, and they declined my request. In Washington, Eric Phillips,